All right, let's start with our torso muscles on the anterior side. Let's start up here. Remember, superficial muscles on one side, as well as sometimes connective tissue structures and deeper muscles on the other. So for this model, we see that. We have our pectoralis major, and on our opposite side, we can see our pectoralis minor because the pectoralis major has been removed. Then in between the ribs and the costal cartilages, we see our internal intercostals and our external intercostals. So they're both really nicely seen right here, but we see a little less of our external intercostals as we move down. If we go here, we have the rectus sheath covering the rectus abdominis, and then we have a connective tissue structure in the middle called the linea alba. If we look at the abdominal wall here, you have your external obliques and you have your internal obliques. So one important thing is to look at where the muscle fibers run, because that can really help tell the difference between individual muscles. External obliques run a different direction than the internal obliques. While we're over here, let's take a look at this serratus anterior muscle. Much better seen on the deep side than over here on the superficial side. Now, in addition to the external obliques and internal obliques, we have a third muscle on the interior sides. So now I've taken that anterior body wall off, and so again, like I said, external obliques, internal obliques. Now I flip this over, and here's that third muscle on the interior, and that's going to be this one where the muscle fibers run and transversely, so that's your transversus abdominis. I refer to this one as the look I'm thin muscle because I'm sure many of us have at one point in time tried to, put on some tight jeans, and in order to button those jeans, we've had to suck in our stomach. And so the transversus abdominis is actually what helps us to compress the abdomen. All right, and then the last thing here is your transversus thoracis. All right, now we were on the posterior muscles of the torso. And so if we start up here, we see our trapezius on this side. On this side, we don't see the trapezius, but we can see that levator scapula that we looked at on the head and neck model. It's going to help to elevate the scapula. And then we have our rhomboid minor, rhomboid major, and then here's the erector spinae that's going to help keep you nice and upright. And then this is your serratus posterior inferior. We do have a serratus posterior superior, but it's not visible on this model because it's going to be deeper to these rhomboid muscles. And then the last muscle here is the latissimus dorsi. Now we also have this major connective tissue structure that covers this area, and you may see it listed as the lumbodorsal fascia. It's also known as the thoracolumbar fascia. And in one of our next videos, we're going to be learning about the muscles of the appendicular skeleton. And so I'll point out a couple here. You can see your supraspinatus muscle sitting in that supraspinous fossa, and then here you have your infraspinatus muscle sitting in that infraspinous fossa. And we'll talk about the rest when we get to the model of the upper appendage of the arm and forearm.